This is the Daily Items One-on-One. Our guest today is Dr. Lenaire Ahlum, Executive Director of the Susquehanna Valley Community Education Project, interviewed by Justin Strawser.
Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Justin Strawser, and today our guest is Dr. Lenaire Ahlum, the Executive Director of the Susquehanna Valley Community Education Project. Lenaire, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we are a couple weeks out from the big announcement that the Education Project was partnering with Marywood University. Talk to us about why that's such a big deal.
So, to start a new public college in Pennsylvania, to have an accredited partner means that students will have accreditation for all their college coursework on day one when the doors open.
Okay. And you've been looking around for that for a long time, correct?
We certainly have, Justin. We actually worked through possible relationships with 6 different higher education institutions, and Marywood University was the right fit. And so we're really excited. It took us about 5 years to find just the right partner.
What is it about the partnering with a university that's needed? Why is that not something that you can do on your own or apply for or whatnot?
So at startup, a standalone community college that starts right up, that is a possibility. The downside is that students do not have accreditation for their coursework. So that would mean that a student that wants to transfer will say after 2 years getting an associate degree that does not bear accreditation from the Middle States Commission for Higher Education, they would have to start over with their coursework because it would not have been accredited by a standard of excellence, which is what the accrediting body provides. So yes, a standalone could start up, but that would be a huge disadvantage to students. The advantage for us is that we will have the guidance, oversight, and the standards that are already set by Marywood University, which is in excellent standing with Middle States Commission for Higher Education and the Pennsylvania Department of Education. We'll have all of that in order to establish the routines, procedures, and policies that will be recognized as standards of excellence when it is our time to go through accreditation.
Okay. So Marywood is a private university based in Scranton, founded in 1915, and it's by the Sisters Servants, got it right here, Sisters Servants of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Are there any differences between a public college partnership versus a private one? Is it normal to have a private college partner with a public entity like you will be?
Yes, so the precedent that we looked carefully at was the relationship of Gannon University to the Rural Regional College. So the Rural Regional College is a public college established by the legislature, and they were looking for a university partner, and Gannon University, which is also a sister to Marywood University, but on the northwestern side of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They saw this as a mission work and took it on as their umbrella accreditation would provide what the students would need in order to have college credit until the candidacy for the new college was approved by Middle States Commission for Higher Education. And so there is precedent for having a private university be the partner for a public college.
Okay. You've talked about this before. I've heard you talk about it. But for maybe some of our listeners who might not have heard this before, why do we need a community college here in the Susquehanna Valley? We have 2 big schools. We have Lackawanna. We have, I think it's Luzerne up in Watsontown. What is it about this area that you feel, why do we need it?
Well, there are many reasons, and I'm going to go through as many as I can.
Sure.
First of all, let's start with the fact that the master plan for Pennsylvania higher education did include Williamsport Area Community College, and that's because it is a public anchor institution that is that has within it the potential for building out workforce, and as well as retaining all of the funds and the funding streams in the region. So we did have a Williamsport area community college, and with that we had all of, I think, almost 8,000 students at head count was when Williamsport area community college had to close. So we knew already in advance that there was a student population that would go to a community college, because we have that as a precedent. The model that was used for sponsorship for Williamsport area community college was precarious, because there were between 20 and 30 small sponsors. So that would be school districts and municipalities. Whereas with the models that have been proven to for longevity are county sponsored, like the Montgomery County, Bucks County, Community College of Allegheny County, etc. I think there are 11 or 12 of the community colleges of 14 in Pennsylvania are all county sponsored, very stable sponsorship. So with that, we looked carefully at the region where we live. We don't have a community college currently. We have site locations of Luzerne County Community College, but that is Luzerne County's college. It is their community college. And to have funding streams exit our area, as well as youth and talent who will go to complete degree programs in the Nanticoke area, what we want to do is retain the funding. We want to retain the youth and talent here, and have a regional emergence as an economically resilient region. And it's the community colleges that really provide that level of anchor where they're located. So employers can anticipate that they will have people to fill openings. Programming will be specific to what the employers need. And so and degree programs are completed right within the area. Students do not have to transfer out of the area or leave the region in order to complete an associate or industry certification.
You've talked about, and I think some of the other education project leaders have talked about, is that T, right? That there's all these over here in the east, whatever, eastern and western. I'm not sure, pointing at the moment what the camera will see, but eastern and western portions of the Pennsylvania, but then like right through the middle and the top.
Yes.
There's a lack of community college, and we're kind of sort of right there in the smack dab of that. Is that right?
You've got it, Justin. There are 14 community colleges, and they are clustered around Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the large metro regions. There's one in Luzerne County, which is Luzerne Community College, and then in Harrisburg. Also, Erie County was just approved in June to open their community college. They have been doing this for about 17 years at different iterations. But that T that you refer to is the rural area. Williamsport Area Community College was the only community college in that area, really that filled that need. And so when it was gone, there are 3 million people, and it's a region, that T region is the size of the state of New Jersey, that do not have access to a regional, comprehensive, dedicated community college.
So what does it take to get something like this off the ground? I'm sure COVID has really put a delay in the progress, if I understand correctly.
You know, Justin, I would say it's very complex, okay? Very complex to get a community college because it's a public entity. So it requires approvals by every level of government, and support by all of the legislators, as well as strong community support and support by the public. So it's a massive project. And in order to understand what it would take, I actually had to go back for a doctoral program in this content area, and really study and do my research. And I did a lot of primary research as to what those complexities are. What are those challenges to establishing a new public community college? And so with that information and the incredible mentoring that I had by community college sector leaders from the nation who were involved in establishing community colleges, and I putting together what a strategy would look like is very difficult, but there is a change leadership strategy to establishing a community college, which I just have been delighted to be a part of. So yeah, I mean, it's very complex, but pieces are coming together. The legislation requires the sponsor. That's the local sponsor, and we talked about the counties being a local sponsor. So a strong case has to be made why we would need this community college. And furthermore, we have to reduce risk to the counties and have a certain favorable outcome is what we have to really have here. And so we conducted the economic impact forecast with a very strong, reputable firm, Economic Modeling Specialists International, who have done 2,000 studies identifying economic impacts of community colleges and higher education on their labor markets. So we had that completed, and conservatively 78.5 million up to 98 million would be new economic activity in the region. So that reduces the risk when we show the return on the investment of 1.2 million of sponsorship. So that reduces that risk. We reduce the risk also by having the university partner who is long and well established in Pennsylvania and will be providing oversight to a new public institution that contains the rigor and the standards that the new community college would emulate. And then we reduce the risk to the counties by demonstrating public support. So we have collected 4,000 petitions and about 50 letters of support from businesses, municipalities, and industries within our region stating their support for this community college. So our goal is to reduce, though it's complex, we are reaching those goals.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dr. Lenaire Ahlum. We're back on One-on-One with Dr. Lenaire Ahlum. We were talking before the break about some of the next steps. We wanted to talk about that. So what's sort of the next step here before we can get to day one of opening?
The next step, we really need to have our county commissioners sign what's called a resolution of sponsorship. And that's a document that states the terms of the agreement for sponsorship. 10 years is what we're looking for, at $1.2 million for each year for 10 years. That would be the total amount of sponsorship by the counties.
Divided up.
Correct.
Okay.
Divided up. And so 1.2 million total. And we base that on the precedent of Cambria County, which is now Pennsylvania Highlands Community College. It's in a similar demographic area as we are, and their sponsorship is $1.2 million per year.
And we're talking Northumberland, Union, Montour, and Snyder. Is
Right.
that the four counties that we're going to serve?
That's right.
Have you been to some of the I know you've been to some of the school districts. I've been covering some of those. Have you been to any county public meetings to talk to the commissioners yet?
We've been in some work sessions with them and discussed it, and really want to understand what their questions are so that we can provide sufficient and satisfactory answers for them. So we've met with them in that capacity.
I know Montour County I think they voted no early on. Are you confident that you'll get them to change their mind, or is that sort of a lost cause?
I believe that a big change with Montour County would be the pro forma. So we completed a 10-year pro forma showing all of the anticipated revenues and expenses for 10 years after launch of a new community college. And with the economic impact study showing that the return on that investment is 26.4%, I do think that is having some, stimulating some discussion within the commissioning boards.
Okay. Is it too early to talk about curriculum? Sort of what courses or what majors are going to be offered? And
I think we could certainly talk about that because in order to have built this partnership with Marywood University, we did have to at least map out some associate degree programs, and so we have done that. We have life sciences. These are all associate degrees. Life sciences, agriculture, liberal arts, biology, engineering. I think that's 6. Nursing.
and nursing.
7.
Okay.
And there probably are a couple business. I think that's good. I think we're up to 7.
Okay.
So yeah, from memory, but yes, we are at a point where we have already mapped those out. Those now are being reviewed by the provost and the associate provost at Marywood University. They will have to go through a process of getting approvals by their board to oversee that programming with us. So yes, we have now on the certifications, all of skills and trades, construction skills, construction trades, the cyber and IT. These are all areas that we know we're going to need certifications. Automotive, alternative fuels, these and others. So there may be a workforce development program that needs a certification that would run once or twice, and then they'd fill that need. So yeah, those are just give you some ideas.
And you mentioned something about volume of students that you sort of know what that's predicted to be.
Correct. So we have site locations of Luzerne County Community College and Lackawanna College, and those site locations can accommodate possibly a few hundred students. The regional community college we would anticipate would be at about 3,000 students once we are established, and that is based on predictability formulas through American Association of Community Colleges and American Association of Community College Trustees, aggregate data that take our demographic and our profile, and then can work the figures and see exactly what we could anticipate for our region. So for sure by year 10 we would have 3,000 students enrolled.
And now we're talking, I think the prediction is, what is it, 2024? Is that when you hope to open?
Yeah.
I believe you said before 2024 is when the goal is to open. So there's some steps in between there of hiring and getting the director and et cetera.
Yes. So once we have that resolution of sponsorship from the county commissioning boards, that then is the launch point for completing what's called the application for the new community college by a third-party consultant, and that becomes the blueprint for a new college. That gets reviewed by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. they will come back with recommendations for what the new college should implement based on that application. And then once the Department of Education gives its review to the State Board of Education, then there will be an approval process by the State Board of Ed. They will have a committee looking over that application, making sure that we have the population, that we have the funding, that it's going to be sustainable, essentially. And then once that application is approved, we will have the sponsors will appoint a board of trustees for the college. So that means that the county commissioners, who are the sponsors, will identify those individuals who they believe will create the environment for success for this college, and they'll appoint that board of trustees. And then the duties of the sponsors would be to always appoint trustees when their terms are over and always approve the budget for the college.
Mm-hmm. I think the big lingering question that I have, and I believe others probably have the same, is where is it going to be? You've teased it before, but is there anything you can tell us today about it?
Well, here's how I see it. Whatever counties are sponsoring this, they are part of this process, and the county commissioners and leadership within those counties will identify sites that they believe are appropriate for bringing in the largest number of people and providing the greatest access to the community college. We do know that here in Sunbury, there are buildings available that are very suitable, and we also have a legacy here in the valley of Thomas Edison and his innovations, mm-hmm. and Joseph Priestley and his, and so we do have some legacy here that we can build on. The other thing to remember is with telecommunications, and what we've learned through COVID is that having access through online is really important for some students, and so that will be a component of the community college delivery of instruction as well.
We were just talking, before we got on here, that this is a very beautiful area. I mean, Norrie's over here, Sunbury's over here. Steps away from the river would be probably a great looking area. That's another important point too, Justin, because years ago I had the opportunity to meet with the Secretary of Agriculture for the United States, and I met because we were discussing what will bring revitalization to the economies within the U.S., and in particular the rural areas. And research shows there's two key components. One is you must have social offerings. That's what families want. That's what people want. Mm-hmm. And so if you have social offerings, that's the first draw. The second draw is, do you have affordable and accessible, adaptable higher education? And the public community colleges offer that. So the last question I have for you, if someone out there is listening who wants to help move this project forward in any way, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, contact our office. You can do that through our website, newcommunitycollege.org, or you can call our office number is 570-898-4334, and we are always seeking volunteers who can help get the word out and build public support for the community college project.
That's all the time we have today. Thanks for joining us, Lenaire, and talking about a community college. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching One on One. Be sure to tune in again for another edition.